It's a beautiful day to you, our lovely and smart real estate investors, both at home and also in diaspora. I'm super delighted to welcome you to another insightful and, of course, educative session of Property Matters here on YouTube. In case you're coming across a video like this for the first time, I am Adejari and I'm your host here on Property Matters. Property Matters is a real estate YouTube talk show where we analyze and dissect everything that you need to know about how the Lagos State real estate market works. Over time, we've done an extensive and elaborative episode on land matters, land titles. We've talked about how you can, of course, identify fraudulent real estate transaction, how you can identify a fraudulent real estate practitioner. We've talked about ways you can identify a manipulative real estate developer. We've talked about many important topics that will help you not to make a terrible real estate investment as long as the Lagos State real estate market is concerned. So in case you're coming across a video like this for the first time, do well to subscribe to this channel, turn on the notification bell so that when I drop a video, a very important personality like you will obviously be the first to see it. Like I said, this is Property Matters. Our aim at Property Matters is to ensure that you make the best and, of course, the right real estate investment here in the beautiful city of Lagos. So just do well to what, relax, have a cold, glass of wine or a bottle of coffee, and I'll be back immediately after this short timeout. Don't go nowhere. Beautiful day to you, our wonderful smart real estate investors. Whether you are abroad, whether you are in Nigeria, wherever you are, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your time zone in which you are viewing this video from. I'm here to give you a development update at Peak Luxury Court. Initially, when this project started, I told our investors that they will be getting the best and of the best if they invest here. And as you can see, that everything that has been promised so far has been done. And one thing, the reason why this location is actually one of the hot shot locations is because this is Monastery Sangotedo, where two-bedroom apartment is being rented for 1.8 to 2.5, depending on your housing need or your housing taste. So today I'm going to be showing our wonderful investors developmental update so that you can see what has been achieved on site so far. So please do well to follow this update. And if you're interested in this property, this is the only property in the Sangotedo axis that comes with a 12-month interest-free. Initial deposit is 3 million naira if you are going for 300 square meter, and of course 5 million naira if you are going for a 600 square meter. It comes with a 12-month interest-free. So let's just go in and let's see what has been done so far. Tag along. No, you cut it. Cut. Land at Sangotedo in Monastery for 35 billion if you're going for a 600 square meter, or you can get 300 square meter for 17.5. Now let me tell you one thing. Monastery is the hottest real estate zone right now. If you have a land for Monastery, if you get land for Monastery, now you be boss. Now you become, now you need to call landlord. You no matter whether at 300, I've been at 500, I've been at 1, I've been at 600. Land and land. So, and of course, when you look at this now for Monastery, if you want to rent 2-bedroom apartment now, if you don't get anything 2.5, 2 million, you can't get a standard apartment. So instead of paying that kind of money for rent, why don't you buy your land and build your house? The funny thing we say, we have 12-month interest repayment. Initial deposit for 300 square meter is 3 million.
Initial deposit for 600 square meter is 5 million, and you can spread payment for 12 months without interest. Tell me which other developer can give you this kind of offer in Sangotedo where you can do buy and build. For more information, my number this screen, call me. Inspection are every day. Bye.
All right, you're welcome back. I'm super delighted to be on your screen today. Of course, we've said again, this is Property Matters. You can do well to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell so that when we drop a video, a very important personality like you will be our first viewer. And if, after seeing this particular episode, we have over 158 videos. Of course, this will obviously make it the 159 videos, as addressing different aspects of real estate investment in Lagos. Imagine 159 videos as addressing different aspects of real estate. Shows very well that you are on the right place, and of course, you can make a very very fantastic real estate investment decision after viewing some of our episodes. And of course, you obviously on the notice that location is obviously not a barrier. So do well to subscribe, like I said again. And of course, you can check some of our videos as your leisure time. Thank you for those who have subscribed. Thank you for those who are following us. Thank you for those, beautiful, encouraging word of encouragement. We appreciate this. For those our Nigerian brothers and sisters, our mummies and daddies that are using their data to view us, thank you very much. We appreciate this. And of course, for our diasporan relatives, brothers, sisters, mother and father, thank you very much for creating time out of your busy schedule to view Property Master. So today I'm going to be talking about the Sangotedo real estate market. I'm going to be talking about the opportunities. I'm going to be talking about the trends. I'm going to be talking about the risk. And I'm also going to be talking about, I'm going to go as far, okay, giving you a breakdown of different rental incomes and obviously why, Sangotedo is, one of the best real estate investment decision for a smart investor like you. And one of the things that I've talked about over time basically is that you will agree with me that I've always been an advocate of what diversification. For some of our followers and our listeners, those who have, those who we have helped, secure different aspects of real estate, would always, testify to the fact that I'm always, emphasizing on diversification. Don't put all your investment in a pair. Of course, a pair is a fantastic location. Don't put all your investment in Ibeju Lekki. Don't put all your investment in Lekki. One of the way you can, earn good dividends and good rental income if you have, your real estate in investment strategically, located at, of course, locations that are promising and locations, of course, that are safe for investment. So we're going to be talking about the Sangotedo real estate market. But before I go into that, I know some of our viewers may, be familiar with the Sangotedo axis, and for the benefit of those who may not, be well familiar with this axis, I'm just going to be doing some brief introduction of what Sangotedo is, and then I'll also be explaining some of the important landmarks. Of course, we'll be doing that through the help of a drone. We did a drone capture of Sangotedo. Of course, that's you see it as we proceed. So we're going to give a little bit of intro to what Sangotedo is. Okay, so number one is that Sangotedo is a town in Etiosa, local government of Lagos. And when you look at Etiosa, Etiosa comprises of the Victoria Island, it comprises of the Lekki Phase 1, it comprises of Ikoyi and Aja and other neighboring towns. And I also want you to understand that Sangotedo is the local government that ends the Etiosa local government. So you need to understand that Etiosa starts from Victoria Island, Ikoyi, and it ends at Sangotedo. For some of our viewers who may not be, familiar with these, themes, and of course, this wonderful discovery. And of course, I also want to emphasize that immediately after Sangotedo, once you exit Sangotedo, you are moving into the Ibeju Lekki local government. So Abijo local government or Abijo axis starts the Ibeju Lekki local government. Also, the Sangotedo axis, okay, is where we have the biggest mall in Africa. Of course, when we talk about the ShopRite, the Novara Mall, and other, wonderful, important landmark for real estate investors. Okay, so when you look at the way Sangotedo is struggling, you will also notice that Sangotedo also consists of commercial and residential buildings. Of course, when you look at the Sangotedo, we have what we have.
The Blanco supermarket is not so far from Sangotedo, and of course, it's one of the notable landmarks in Sangotedo. We also have the Sky Mall, which is also the biggest, one of the biggest, commercial centers in Sangotedo. We also have the Domino Pizza, and of course, among all the, notable estates in Sangotedo, there are several, but because of my time, I will be outlining some. Okay. Now, in Sangotedo is home to the popular Diamond Estate, which is one of the most expensive residential, environments and residential estates in Sangotedo. And also, we also have the Emperor Estate, we have the Crown Estate, to mention but a few. So, Sangotedo is a residential and, of course, a commercial activities, and that is why Sangotedo as a region is very, very promising. And one of the things many people don't understand about Sangotedo is that we also have prominent individuals, politicians, of course. Former president, that's in the person of former president Olusegun Obasanjo, also have acres of land in Sangotedo. And when you drive down through that, the monastery axis of Sangotedo, you'll see that that place is heavily guided. Of course, Baba has many acres of land. Although in reports have gone towards that, several real estate developers persuaded Baba to sell, but yeah, I believe our former president has a reason for not selling. So we have notable politicians, we have notable traditional rulers who owns apartment, I mean lands in Ibeju Lekki. I mean, I said Ibeju Lekki, of course. Yeah, pardon me. We'll have notable politicians who have, lands at Sangotedo. And when you also look at Sangotedo, you also find out that Sangotedo also have different government residential scheme. We have several of them in Sangotedo. More importantly, along that monastery, axis of Sangotedo. So we have major several government residential scheme that is, of course, there, and these are one of the notable landmarks. So also we also have other, notable developments springing up at Sangotedo. And one of the reasons why we have decided to explain the Sangotedo real estate market basically is due to the fact that most investor or most times overlook the importance of the Sangotedo real estate market. Yes, you don't. Many people don't understand how important and how crucial the Sangotedo real estate market is, and that is why we're coming here today to do an extensive explanation. And of course, we said we're going to explain the opportunities as well as the risk. Of course, we are going to do that. It's going to be an all-encompassing explanation so that you'll be well, informed and be well, detailed about that. Now, why Sangotedo of all region? Why Sangotedo? Now, one of the things I want you, beautiful, smart, and of course intelligent real estate investors to understand is that Sangotedo as a region or as a location is central. That means Sangotedo plays a central role if you're going from the island down to Victoria Island. Depending on the traffic situation, from you to drive from Sangotedo to Victoria Island is less than, let's say, 60 minutes. It's not even, let's say, 55 minutes or 60 minutes, depending on the traffic situation. And of course, if you're driving from Sangotedo to other part of Ibeju Lekki, it's less than it's less than an hour and a half. Okay, so when you look at that, you notice that Sangotedo is very, very, prime. And the next thing I also appreciate about this region is that we have several attraction centers. We have the Sky Mall, which I explained, the Blanco supermarket, other activities. In fact, so that's why you understand that when you understand, the demand in the or in the Lekki real estate market, you understand that Sangotedo also enjoy high rental demand as well as the Aja, the Chevron, and other parts of the highland. So Sangotedo is very, very, very central and very, very prime in location. Now, what are the investment opportunities that await you as a real estate developer? How can you take massive, massive advantages of Sangotedo? Now, when we started our investigation, of course, I spent, I think it's a whole month investigating, doing a lot of land search, land verification, property regions in Sangotedo. And one of the things I'll tell you basically is that in Sangotedo, we have larger part of Sangotedo that is concentrated for government residential scheme. So we have large areas of land that government has reserved for their own
portion, okay, and this is towards that monastery axis. Then when you drive down, like I explained earlier on, the former president Olusegun Obasanjo also had acres of land. Of course, the other traditional rulers, which their names I don't want to mention online, also have larger parts of land in Sangotedo. And when you look at the eastern part of Sangotedo, you'll understand that Sangotedo also have a beach, a sea at towards the end of, yes, that's towards the end of monastery. When you look at Sangotedo Vedica, you notice that there's a sea. That means that government interest is also there, and government may be considering the option of what converting that sea to a resort, or perhaps it could sell to individuals that meet up the basic requirement of, okay, of owning a property in Sangotedo. That is our discovery. Then in addition to that, we are glad to also inform our real estate investors that we have, according to our research, we have smaller parts of Sangotedo land that are excised. When you look at the Ajayi Apata axis residential estate of Sangotedo, that's when you're driving. Of course, when you move past towards that monastery and you're driving down, you'll understand that larger part of the Ajayi Apata has excision, and small part of it also have gazettes and maybe one or two plots or that falls under C of O. But when you look at the main monastery road, there's a global C of O covering large extents of land there. And in addition to that, there's also a great portion of land that has a registered court judgment on it. So if you're buying a property in Sangotedo, it is very important that you understand the origin and, of course, the status of the properties. And that is why we always insist that as a real estate partner company, or as a real estate consultant, we do our due diligence. We find out who owns who, the status of the place before we sell. And that's one of the reasons why I always, I spend a lot of money doing a lot of research. Okay, so some portions of land in Sangotedo have what we call a registered court judgment, and some of the developers that have properties there have started working on their C of O. Then larger parts of that property, like the in that same monastery axis of Sangotedo, also have what we call a government allocation. So most of the lands are, you find excision, you will find registered court judgment, you will also find government allocation, and you also find, of course, towards the northern part of Sangotedo, which is the back of the apartment, you find out that larger part of the lands are C of O, like what Landway is selling. Let me remember the name of this estate. So those areas are what are having C of O. So these are some of the discovery, and there are also places in Sangotedo where Omonile also disturb. When we are talking about this, we won't just look at, a lot of people will focusing on the advantage, and of course, they ignore disadvantage. There are some places in Sangotedo that I would definitely advise, real estate investors not to go there. Even top real estate companies that have sold properties to some people there, they are still going to court. They are still having some kind of settlement with Omonile. Of course, when you contact us, we will give you an extensive, analysis on places that Omonile is really, really disturbed. There are some places in Sangotedo that we won't even recommend. And if you insist on buying properties, of course, well and good, we will allow you and your real estate practitioner to handle that case. And in most cases, if everything turns out to be bad, we will definitely exempt ourselves, because we explain at the initial that these are the situation of the place. So this obviously is a brief analysis on the condition and the status of larger parts of land according to our research, our findings, and of course according to the documentation reports that our surveyors, our lawyers have done. We did an extensive analysis that allows us, so we can tell you that this is the status of this place in Sangotedo, this is the status of this place in Sangotedo, and this is the status of this place. So so do we have government interest in Sangotedo? Well, there is, but the interest of government in Sangotedo is not as elaborate as that of Ibeju Lekki, but we won't be discussing that. Now, talking about the opportunities. So these are what we just discussed, basically, are the risk and of course the status of Sangotedo. Now, what are the basic opportunities for
Sangotedo and what exactly is the topography. I know a lot of people have been itching. Won't you talk about the topography of Sangotedo? Is Sangotedo a dry place? Can we buy without sand filling? All right, looking at Sangotedo, you will notice that Sangotedo is divided, according to the map, is subdivided into region. Now, the areas of Sangotedo that is facing the sea, of course, I talked about Sangotedo having a sea. Most of those areas are dry. However, as a real estate investor, if you're building on the highland, I would still advise you do some level of what sand filling. But when you look at the larger part of monastery towards the eastern part of monastery, some of them are wet. So you also want to do a thorough sand filling before you check. But the topography of Songotedo compared to other places of the island is manageable. You can control it, and that is why you need to understand that when you are building in Songotedo, most larger part of Songotedo does not require large sand filling compared to other places of the island, and that's due to the fact that the reason why larger part of Songotedo doesn't require heavy sand filling is because there are a lot of residential presence in Songotedo. A lot of people started building. In fact, government have, when you look at that monastery road from the beginning down to where it is, you notice that it has been tied. In fact, even residents now ply this road more because it gives them an opportunity to do what, to enjoy the good road, and of course it's proximity to the biggest shopping mall, which is the Novara Mall, and of course the ShopRite. So this is what you need to know. So there are some larger parts of Songotedo that are dry, and there are some, of course, few parts of Songotedo that require sand filling. But when you're buying Songotedo, the sand filling is not as much as other parts of the highland. Now, what are now the rental values of properties in Songotedo? How can I have maximum satisfaction, or how can I maximize your portion or my land or something? Now you need to understand that what determines the rental value of a property is, number one, is dependent on, number one, the kind of housing unit you're putting there, and of course the kind of facilities you are bringing to your apartment. Now the secret is this: the people who are earning larger rental income in Lagos, Nigeria, more importantly the island, are people who are doing a service apartment. Now we have service apartments and we have self-service apartments. Now in a service apartment, the landlord or the investor is expected to be the provider of all the amenities. When talking about the electricity, talking about the water, talking about the drainage system, and so on other things. Now, what real estate investor needs to do basically is that if I have a portion of land in Songotedo, I will do a service apartment, and this is why. Your tenants gets to pay you for electricity. Of course, you can regulate how you want the electricity to run. I've seen instances whereby some developers are using solar. They are taking advantage of the solar panel, which obviously presently is one of the best means of electricity, or best source of electricity in Nigeria. I've seen service apartments where maybe when the developer or the landlord runs solar, maybe all through the day, they switch over to generator all through, maybe all through the night, or there might be some stipulated times in which the generator is expected to run. I've seen instances like that. Now, also in the service apartment, the landlord or the investor will also be in charge of sewage, and there is this amount of money that you're supposed to pay for sewage, okay, and of course security, and of course the drainage control. And instances, I've seen several instances whereby there is a central water system, there's a central sewage system, there's a central electricity. So it depends. So as an investor, if you are building, if you want to make, of course, I've seen instance places whereby service charge for a year is 1 million. I've seen instances whereby service charge for a place is 1.5 million. Now, a lot of people have been asking, with that kind of exorbitant service charge, do we have people who pay this money? Yeah. See, the thing is, give Nigerians all the facilities, they're willing to pay you for it. So you don't need to worry about somebody will take it or not. Once as in as much as fact that these services are guaranteed, trust me,
our Nigerian people are going to pay for it, because most of our people love comfort. So one of the way you can maximize, okay, the Sangotedo rental market is to start or to do a service apartment. Okay, now in service apartments you provide all these things like I mentioned earlier, and you make higher amount of money, not just on rent but also from services rendered. So if you want to make good return, and that's why sometimes I've seen instances whereby people rent their two-bedroom apartment for 1.5 million or 1.8 million, but when it comes to service apartment, you're paying 2.5, and of course sometimes 2.7, depending on the kind of services the landlord is offering. So when you're doing the service apartment, you charge higher rental income compared to a self-service. So if you're buying a property, which you should do at Sangotedo, the best way you can maximize and get the best out of this Sangotedo is to serve or to do a service apartment. And in instances, it is not mandatory. I've seen instances whereby people build multiple units or duplexes or apartments and they rent it out. Now, what determines what you charge, apart from the fact that service apartments have higher rental income than self-service, are the structures and, of course, the location at which these properties are situated. So you want to put your rental income or you want to put your apartments in places that are, not too far from the main road, where the places where they are not too far from all these facilities, the gym. Of course, I've seen service apartments that have gym, that places that are not so far from the gym, the supermarkets, the malls, all these major attractive centers. So you don't want, to do these mistakes of, not investing in Sangotedo. So this is how rental income for two-bedroom. And if you're building, my own advice basically is that two-bedroom apartments, okay, I don't know why I'm sharing all this information, moves faster in the Sangotedo real estate market. And this is due to the fact that with the activities of the Dangote refinery, the deep support, not everybody will stay in Ibeju Lekki. Of course, I'm going to continue explaining the opportunities in Ibeju Lekki, and of course, I'm going to be doing a video on understanding the Ibeju Lekki rental market. Of course, we've done extensive, that's why you need to subscribe to this channel. We have a whole lot, okay, a lot of analysis so that you can understand how this market works, okay? So when you look at all these things, these are some of the things that determine how profitable and where you should situate your investment. Now, for those who will be going to, so for people who are working at the refinery, now this is how the Sangotedo rental market works. For people that are working in Victoria Island, that are working in Ikoyi, that are working in the places of, let's say CMS, they will prefer to stay at Sangotedo because of the easy accessibility of this location to their place of work. This is how important the Sangotedo real estate market is. For people who are working in Ajah, people who are working in Lekki Phase 1, or Gombo and the likes, they will still choose to stay in Sangotedo. So that is why the Sangotedo will pioneer rental income in the highland. More importantly, for the low income earners. Okay, there are some people that cannot afford to pay 5 million for rent in Lekki. There are some people that cannot afford to pay 4 million or 8 million rent in Lekki. In fact, some people even say how much is what is even the distance from Sangotedo to Lekki is less than 20-25 minutes drive. So it's not just for me to drive down there. And of course, most of these people are mobile, so they can choose, to do this. So these are the investment opportunities that await real estate investor in Sangotedo. Now, we're also going to be talking about the proximity of Sangotedo, not on this episode, of Sangotedo to the Ibeju Lekki infrastructures, the international airport, and this is going to be in our subsequent video. So this is where I'm going to draw the curtain of today's episode of Property Matters by analyzing the Sangotedo rental market. You can do well to subscribe to this channel, and of course, we'll continue this series in our next video. Do well to subscribe. Have a nice day. Thank you for following. Thank you for viewing, and God bless you. See you in my next video. Bye.